Is Little Nightmares 3 a prequel or a sequel? Let's talk about it. So, on the official website, it is said loud and clear that this story is of two new characters, Low and Alone. We've never seen them, we've never met them. This is gonna be their first new story after 6 and Mono. But what's interesting here is that they said this story is happening in a place called the Nowhere. Okay, we're following, but now we're not gonna follow anymore because it's right after it says that we've been in the Nowhere before. So hold on, let's back up a little bit. This story is about Low and Alone, two brand new characters in the universe of Little Nightmares. It's happening in a place that we've already been. That begs the question. Two questions actually. Number one, are we going to see some old faces? Like not just 6 or Mono, but other characters like the lady? Probably not. Thin Man? Probably not. Other monsters like the janitor or the teacher from the school? Probably not. But we will get some hints and Easter eggs to these characters because of the locations that we will be going. Like we're gonna go through a carnival, we're gonna go through a garbage dumpster place, and all these other places. They will give us some hints and Easter eggs to the other characters from Little Nightmares 1 and 2 existing in this Low and Alone's universe. Okay. So far so good, right? You're following me, right? There's no official confirmation as to if this is a prequel or a sequel, but I have a theory, ladies and gentlemen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that this is neither a sequel nor a prequel. Now, you can debate about Little Nightmares 2 that it is a prequel, but it is also not a prequel, because it's a loop, so that throws that out of the way. However, I have another theory. I have a theory that Little Nightmares 3 story is happening as in two directions. The first one is that it is happening after Little Nightmares 1 and 2 combined. So if you think that 6's adventures on the Maw happened after Little Nightmares 2, or 6's adventures happened whilst the loop is still running, this game is going to happen afterwards. That's number one. But number two, the other theory that we have is that it is happening simultaneously as 6's story and Thin Man / Mono's loop story is happening. The loop is happening on the other side of the same universe. But there's also a third direction that we can take, and if they're saying that this is happening in the Nowhere, none of the games are sequel or prequels. They're just that. Stories happening within their own corners, connected loosely. Like 6 can exist in her own story in a Little Nightmares 1 in the Maw, whilst being in Mono's loop. I feel like this is the best approach that they could take, that all these stories are happening in spite of the timeline, in spite of being connected loosely to each other. I think that is the best direction to take this franchise anyway. In that sense, Bandai Namco and Supermassive Games won't feel obliged to continue Low and Alone stories in Little Nightmares 4. They can continue on with the new characters and new story each time, but they're all in the same universe, and they're all loosely connected because the aspects and features and elements of one game connects with the others loosely. So these characters won't have to connect to each other, they won't have to meet each other, they won't have to be involved in each other's activities. If you go and read some of the comics, it is fascinating how they connect each kid's story with another. Those comics are not completely canon. They're not canon at all, by the way, but the way they tell these stories is that 6 is running, doing her own adventures, but then she takes a stop, and then she finds a group of kids taking shelter, talking to each other, sharing stories, and then they go on to their own stories after the fact. They go on and tell their stories. So I feel like Little Nightmares is that franchise now, where each game is loosely connected, but they are existing in spite of the whole timeline confusion thingy. There is no timeline because everything is existing simultaneously before and after, and that is Little Nightmares 3's position in the universe's timeline.